And welcome back, everyone. Now, as Mr. Announcer said, we have Jay Robertson on the hotline. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Steve. It's good to be with you today.
Now, I got to ask you for a favor, and I got to ask you a question. Can we start with the favor?
All right.
Okay. Now, before Jay called in, folks, we were talking about the Schumer shutdown. And for the 14th time, the Democrat communists have voted to starve everybody and keep the government shut down so people don't get their WIC, SNAP, or federal employees don't get their paychecks. And I said that Rand Paul was the only Republican that voted with the Democrats to keep it shut. But Rand Paul's position was there should have been cuts made in the continuing resolution, which there weren't. And then several of you texted in and said, hey, Steve, Senator John Thune voted with Rand Paul on that. He wasn't the only Republican. And I said, yes, I will explain it on the air. Thune is the Senate Majority Leader. In order for him to bring this up for a 15th time, according to Senate rules, this is probably one of those archaic rules that he has to vote with the group there on cloture, against cloture, or ending the filibuster. And that is the reason why Senator Thune has been voting with Rand Paul afterwards, so he can bring it back up again. And then, how do you like your new intro there, bud?
That's great. I feel honored. I'm happy to be here, and look forward to continuing the segment. I appreciate that.
Yes, I thought you might get a kick out of that one. Alrighty, now let's turn to the business at hand, and I know this is something that is of concern to the listeners, and that's the Arkansas school choice legislation that lets parents take a certain X number of dollars, and instead of it going to the public schools, it goes to the school of their choice, which may be another public school, it may be a private school, it might even be homeschooling. So what are your thoughts on the Little Rock School District trying to intervene in this lawsuit at this late stage?
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. I'll try to be brief, but first of all, I think it's a little outrageous that we have a public school district that's obviously supported by taxpayers, receives taxpayer dollars. A district that struggled to serve its students is now suing the state to take away these opportunities. So for listeners who don't know, the Education Freedom Account program has been around 3 years. This is the third year. And for the first time, parents now have the option to choose. And it's really outrageous that we have a public school district that's now joining this lawsuit. And they actually claim that this is harming the public school district. Now, if we want to talk about harm is locking students into a school based on their zip code with no other choice. And to have the school district use taxpayer dollars to try to take those choices away is really remarkable. And part of the problem here is that for so long in education, the conversation has been dominated by systems, the school system, the school district, and not about students. Students should be the focus of everything we do in education. And education freedom accounts now allow the dollars to follow the students to the school that best serve their needs. Using tax dollars to join a lawsuit to take those options away is not about helping students. It's about protecting a system. And so Arkansas should be proud we have this program. We know that it's popular. 2/3 of voters support this program. 80% of parents support this program. And so I think the district here is really just out of step with where the voters of Arkansas are at.
You know, Jay, this is my personal opinion on this, is when I say tongue-in-cheek, in case you're a graduate of the Baltimore public school system, I'm not insulting them and saying they are stupid, because they're not. I'm saying that they're ignorant because for several years now, the entire Baltimore graduating seniors have a collective 1.0 GPA, and nobody's doing anything about it, and those children that attend that failed school system suffer. But what I took umbrage to was where in their brief, the school district lawyers say, quote, an outcome which allows the state to continue to invest in separate private school system for more affluent students will inevitably work to the detriment of the constitutionally required free public school system. And the affluent people can afford to send their kids to private schools. It's the parents that are struggling and the working class people that want their kids to be afforded a good education are actually the beneficiaries of this.
That's exactly right. I mean, people with means, people with wealth have always had the option to choose where they live, to pay tuition to send their kids to a different school, a different option. And this program is about making that option available for everyone. And the quote that you just read goes back to the problem. I mean, the bureaucracy is focused on the system. They're worried about the system and not the students. This program funds students. And the legal arguments have been debunked for years as well. So this was brought before the U.S. Supreme Court over 20 years ago when a program in another state was challenged. And they ruled that it's absolutely constitutional because what this program does, it gives parents the option to take the tax dollars that are allocated to serve their child and direct them to a school of their choice. That can be a Christian school. It can be a religious school. It could be homeschool. It could be a non-religious private school. The option is with the parents. And so there's longstanding precedent that support the legality of this program. It's really kind of a baseless argument. The other piece is they talk about funding, concern about draining funding. Mm-hmm. And this is something that some of the news reports out there from the other media sources have gotten wrong. They said, well, the district loses funding when it loses students, and students are funded. The district gets about $7,000 per student. Well, the Little Rock School District actually receives a lot more funding than that. So if you break down their latest numbers, the EFA students, for context, get just under $7,000 per year. Little Rock School District is spending $18,000 a year per student in their school district. And so EFAs are allowing parents to do more with less. And it just really makes the entire argument about this look ridiculous.
Yes.
And if they're concerned about enrollment and declining enrollment, they should focus these resources on providing a better educational setting within their school district. Because now, for the first time ever, schools are having to compete. And if you want to address lower enrollment, the way to do that is not to try and tie the hands of parents and take these options away. You should focus on providing a better educational setting for your child. And I think a lot of schools around the state are waking up to that. You're seeing innovative things happen in some public school districts because for the first time ever, parents are in charge and they have options. And it's exciting for Arkansas to be on the leading edge of this, but it's also a reminder that the coalition of the status quo is not going to rest. They're going to keep throwing up these arguments, but voters see through it. I mean, our poll numbers show this program is very popular, and the support for it is only continuing to grow as we see the results and the outcomes for these students who are now having a better experience at school.
I had one of the listeners text in a question, and I'm going to throw it to you. This listener says, how much is allotted to each student total? $11,000. And then how much does the school system get if the student goes to private school? Parents get $6,200 and the schools get $5,800 still. And then the listener went on to say, bingo, he just answered it. So I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So EFAs are structured to protect taxpayers. The EFA students only get a portion of the state dollars that are allocated to students. Districts are, in many cases, paying much more per student to educate children. So this program is a win-win for really everybody that's involved in education.
Absolutely. And to the listener that said that, I want you to know this is one of the reasons I have Jay on. We're friends, and you could tell by the banter between the two of us. But he always brings interesting subjects to you, the audience, that are very quite relevant to all of us here in Arkansas. And that's the as much as I love you, brother, I still want you to give my audience good content.
Absolutely. That's what we're here for. At Opportunity Arkansas, We have been champions for this program because we believe that parents deserve these options, kids deserve opportunity, and we will continue defending it because the coalition of the status quo doesn't sleep. We don't either at Opportunity Arkansas. We're with parents to support their right to continue having these options for their kids.
Yes, and I appreciate you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, usually I keep Jay on for 2 segments on Thursdays, but Jay has a prior commitment this week, and he's only going to be with us for this 1 segment. So, Jay, I really appreciate you being here and bringing that information, and I hope you'll continue to monitor that and keep us updated.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
All right, take care. Have a safe week.